Dragon Pokemon are powerful and deadly, but their early evolutions are hot garbage. So I tried to beat the hardest Pokemon game using only Dragon Pokemon, and this was a terrible idea for my sanity, but I tried it anyway. Here's what happened. So, this is me, Lance Jr., the second coming of the legendary Dragon Champion and Slayer of Team Rocket Grunts. This place is the complete opposite of Kanto. Isn't it lovely? I hate it here. I want to go live with Dad. So you're Lance Jr., obviously. Can't you tell? We look exactly alike. Right. Well, Junior, it's time to choose your first Pokemon. Oh god, I'm so excited. These are your choices. What on earth are these? Give me a dragon, old man. Fine, I'll give you a dragon, a deadly beast, capable of mass destruction beyond human comprehension. Noibat. Now we had our first Pokemon, and I mean, look at this guy. Doesn't it just scream unrelenting power? With Batwoman the Noibat by our side, surely now we were ready to tear through Alola with ease. And our first victim is Hau, who picks the stupid water seal as his starter. That obviously pales in comparison to our almighty beast. Why? Just look at the massive damage we deal, and... oh, that's a bit underwhelming. Despite being super effective, our Absorbs barely damage Hau's Poplio. Aren't you meant to be a dragon? Do something! Thankfully, Absorb does heal back our lost health, allowing us to suck the life out of Hau's starter, giving us the win. And, as expected, the Dragon Master is undefeated, baby. Not only are dragons powerful, but it's also the coolest type in Pokemon. So, let me know in the comments if you agree with that, as well as what your favorite dragon is. And yes, there is a wrong answer. With Hau traumatized, we head to Icky Town to meet the Kahuna. However, he's nowhere to be seen, but we do find a puny alien ball being bullied by some wild Spearow. And since we're a heroic dragon tamer, we jump to the rescue. Except, then the alien betrays us and tries to take us with it. Fortunately, out of nowhere, we're saved by this awesome looking Pokemon. Wow, what was that? Some kind of super cool Alolan dragon? No, that's Tapu Koko, an electric fairy type. A fairy? Actually, I take it all back. I hate that Pokemon. For some reason, I thought I saw Tapu Koko flying about. Oh yeah, I saw it, and I beat it up. Me and my Noibat are unbeatable. We'll crush any fairies on this island. You were rescued at the bridge, weren't you, Lance Jr.? Maybe. Next, we move onwards to Route 1, and this place has some of the most dangerous Pokemon you could ever dare to face, such as Grubbin. Seriously, despite being one of the worst Pokemon ever, it still nearly managed to take us out. Grubbin. We're nearly losing to a Grubbin. Regardless, through sheer skill, we come out victorious, and that'll never, ever change. Ever. Still undefeated, baby. Soon after, we reach the Icky Town Festival, and wow, look at all those goofy Exeggutor. What a stupid-looking Pokemon. Who would possibly want to use one of those ridiculous things? Anyway, after quickly beating up Hau, again, we're confronted by Lily, asking us for a favor. Please don't tell anybody else about what happened on that bridge. Way ahead of you, Lily. No one needs to know that I beat a legendary so easily. What? It saved your life. Psst, from what I remember, it tried to fight me before fleeing like a coward. But I mean, who wouldn't flee when faced with such a commanding team? You're delusional. The next day, after brutally shoving a Rotom into our Pokedex, we're finally free to conquer Alola and become a Master Dragon Tamer. And our first stop is the Trainer School. I don't know why I'm here though. We obviously already know everything we need to know about Pokemon. However, it was at this Trainer School that I learned a valuable lesson. Not all dragons are created equal. And while some of them are amazingly powerful, this one sucks. Like really, really bad. And to make this challenge even harder, since I'm a sucker for pain, I'm adding a bunch of extra rules like no overleveling and no Z moves just to maximize my suffering. And speaking of suffering, here is Exhibit A. Against this literal toddler and his pile of poop, our bat is smacked into the dirt by Pound as well as gets poisoned, while our damage on the other hand is pathetic. And as a result, we lost to an underleveled literal pile of sludge. However, I was determined, so I instantly ran back for a rematch, and this time, I I lost even harder. We are getting demolished by a random early game NPC. If you thought that dragons would steamroll this game, then you are wrong. We're already hitting a wall, but we couldn't stop now. Surely this is just a small blip on our journey to power. In our third attempt, I came back with a vengeance. This time, we had a few extra levels, meaning that our tackles are now doing way more. Thankfully, this is enough to crush the poisonous pest, giving us the win on our third try. Too easy. Didn't even break a sweat. Lance Jr. to the office, please. What terrible thing did you do to get called to the office so soon? That's for ruining my perfect win streak, Grimer. Turns out, flushing Pokemon down the toilet is a punishable offense, as now we have to face the school teacher, Emily. And let me tell you, her Litten is not messing around. Scratches from the fiery feline hit hard, while our Screech-boosted tackle, on the other hand, okay, that's really bad. Even with an Oranberry, we still don't have anywhere near enough health to withstand the cat, and our Noibat falls once again. Right, no more fooling around. By grinding in the grass, we earn a nice amount of EXP, which also lets us level up and learn the move Gust. And so, with a brand new move, now we were ready to rematch Emily and... Right, of course. Why'd I expect anything different? Thankfully, on our third fight with the teacher, we finally get the luck we need, as Supersonic confuses Litten, and after we lower its defense with Screech, the cat hits itself, doing huge damage. It doesn't matter that Noibat has the attacking prowess of a kitchen sponge, because another misfire on the following turn punches Litten into its grave. We'd gotten the W, but my god, this is not a good sign, and it's not going to get any better. For now, we head onwards to Howley City, where we have some serious business to take care of. First, we can enter a clothes salon. Hey, do you have any capes in stock? Sorry, we stopped selling those back in 1998. You'll pay for this. Quick, Noibat, get him! Our next stop is a visit to the hair salon, where we get a trim to look exactly like Lance. I guess this is the best I can do. With our stylish new look, we're ready for Team Skull, Alola's mischievous mafia that are exactly like the rocket grunts of Johto. And I think we know exactly how we deal with people like that. But that'll have to wait. For now, at least we can crush this grunt. Imagine only having a pathetic bat on your team though. Couldn't be Lance Jr., that's for sure. We buried Zubat with ease, but little did I realize, immense struggle was just around the corner. We had officially left the baby section of the game behind, and now we began our descent into absolute pain. This is Trial Captain Ilima, and we have to beat his team consisting of 2 strong Pokemon. And do you want to know how this went? Badly. So badly. His feral rodent Yungoos does so much with tackle, while we barely squeak out any damage. We fall in only 2 hits to the Trial Captain, which is an absolutely terrifying revelation. We weren't even close. Clearly, we needed to pull out the big guns to try and get a victory. Despite our pathetic damage when using Gust, we're given a small lifeline in the form of the TM Echoed Voice. This starts out at 40 base power, but when you use it again and again, it can ultimately increase in power to a whopping 200 base power. Even when fired off by a Noibat, it'll still hit like a truck. So it's that simple, right? We can just power through with Echoed Voice to an easy victory. Though if only that were true, because Lance Jr. and Noibat would proceed to lose and lose and lose. Seriously, this went on for like an hour as the L's piled up. Firstly, this Yungoos is a beast. Don't be distracted by how feeble you might think it is, because this demon just steamrolls us in a few turns. So, to stop that from happening, our best bet is using Supersonic, which is not only 55% accurate, but Confusion was nerfed in this generation so that Pokemon only hit themselves 1 in every 3 times now. So basically, it's a coin flip that we can even cause confusion and even less chance for it to work. But wait, because this doesn't even account for the fact that Ilima also uses a full heal. So we have to rely on hitting Confusion twice. And on top of all of that, even if I'm somehow able to get past Yungoos, then Ilima's Ace Smeagol comes out, who can quickly pick the bones and finish us off. This is an RNG nightmare. Our losses continued piling up, and this whole challenge started feeling hopeless. At least until this attempt. On the first turn, we actually land Supersonic as Yungoos just bonks itself. While Yungoos is healed by Ilima on the following turn, we can start using Echoed Voice to begin building its power. While this does give Yungoos a free turn to attack us, on this attempt, it uses Leer. This means we still have all our HP as we finish off Yungoos. This leaves only Ilima's Smeagol, who immediately immediately crippled our bat, removing over half of our HP with Tackle. This was looking ominous, except we have a secret weapon. See, in the Festival Plaza, there's a lottery, and if you win the 10th place item, you get a berry juice. And this item is a godsend, as the juice heals Noibat almost back to full HP. This means we can comfortably survive another attack before one last echoed voice from our bat puts the Picasso Pooch in its place. We had finally won. We had finally beaten the first notable fight in the entire game. We hadn't even scratched the surface yet, as we have more fights coming up that are way more dangerous. Great. Having escaped that hellscape, Lily generously gives us some revives. Gee, that would have been helpful like 12 losses ago. Now it's time for us to take on Captain Ilima's trial, where we have to face off against a ferocious totem Pokemon that also gets a deadly stat boost. And if this boss fight doesn't already seem impossible, we're even getting beaten up by the random wild Pokemon here. While that loss does feel ominous, thankfully, in the Verdant Cavern, we find the TM for Brick Break, which, yeah, Noibat can actually learn. I thought Noibat could only break my spirit, but it turns out it can break bricks too. And this would be crucial for our upcoming fight as we step forward to tackle the totem boss, Gumshoos. Not only is it a powerful, fully evolved Pokemon, but it also gets a defense boost at the start of the fight. Despite this, my plan is to confuse Gumshoos with Supersonic, after which it hits itself. The totem calls for reinforcements, but we quickly dispatch the Yungoos with Brick Break. On top of that, when Gumshoos does manage to hit us, it does less than half, as we respond with Brick Break, putting it in the red. Could it be a first attempt victory? Gumshoos charges up its final tackle, and no! We were so close, but we still lost and continued losing for the next 30 minutes over and over again. But eventually, we finally hit some luck as Gumshoos hits itself in confusion twice in this fight, allowing our tiny toddler to Brick Break the totem in 2 pieces. We had finally managed to take out the island's totem, meaning we weren't far from becoming champions. Wait, what do you mean there's 3 other islands? And I know exactly what you're thinking, dearest viewer. That's right, you. Oh, Keegan, good job! You got past the hard parts. I'm going to like and subscribe and watch all your videos. And while I thank you, kind viewer, I was not prepared for what was next. I thought Ilima was bad. I thought the totem was even worse. But do you know what tops all of that? This weird space dude and his goddamn poodle. I'm not kidding. Lance Jr. is Sisyphus and Furfrou is the boulder. This thing outspeeds us and almost cleanly one-shots us with Headbutt. And it can even make us flinch too. How is that even fair? We had entered our 3rd realm of RNG pain. Take the flinches, then add in Supersonic missing, as well as Furfrou not hitting itself, and what you've got is one terrible time. Seriously, I lost more to this one singular pooch than I did everything before it, and it wasn't even fun to beat. We just needed so much luck. I had to have a Supersonic hit, and then the poodle needs to punch itself twice in order for us to beat it. By this point in the run, our losses were high, and our bat was on life support, but by God, Lance Jr. had to keep going. I see. So that is a Pokemon battle. That was your first Pokemon battle? Are you secretly the next Lance? Anyway, these guys warn us that Cosmog could destroy our world. Yeah, this splashing infant that makes Noibat look like Hydreigon. I highly doubt that. Up ahead, we're ambushed by Hal, who immediately forces us into a fight. But this should be a piece of cake. We've already beaten him twice, so naturally we... Oh my god, his Popplio knows a fairy move! At the very least, we don't actually have to win this fight, so I'll happily take my singular L. Thank you very much. So, Lance Jr., how are you finding your Noibat? Crushing the first island? Alright, Kukui, I get it. Not all dragons are as cool as Dragonite, but surely it has to get easier, right? And thankfully, there is good fortune ahead, because in this patch of grass, after a ton of encounters, including a disgusting fairy bug, we can find the 1% encounter, Bagon, Hoenn's pseudo-legend dragon that will become a monster in its final form. Although, it did not want to get in the ball. Seriously, Bagon, please, I have nothing else and I'm down horrendously bad. Just join my team. Eventually, it relents, and now our team size had doubled. It's no powerhouse by any means, but Bagon does have a solid attack stat, and this is going to be useful right away, because now we have to face off against the island kahuna, Hala. He has 3 powerful Pokemon, all of which are decently strong, while we have 2 baby dragons, putting us at a huge disadvantage. I was not confident about our chances. At this point in the run, I hope it's clear that our dragons dislike 2 things: fairies and winning. Seriously, we lost to Hala over and over again. His lead Machop often manages to dent our team before it can even get off the ground. And by the time we get to his Makuhita, or even his ace, Crabrawler, we're in no position to put up a fight. And so, we lose, and lose, and lose some more. Honestly, I can't believe we've lost this many times in a single challenge. But I guess that's the secret pain of a dragon tamer. Yet, after every fight, we kept on getting back up, trying something new, hoping for a victory, despite losing. And that brings us to this attempt. We lead with Noibat and land a Supersonic. Sadly, Machop does still hit us, sapping half of our health with revenge. However, now we have a secret new technique: Roost. This lets us heal up as Machop hits itself this time around. And thanks to our Noibat holding a sharp beak, this window means that we can finish Machop with 2 gusts. Next is Hala's Makuhita, so we switch into Bagon. And since our Brick Breaks do sizable damage, eventually we take down the Pudgy Punching Bag. This leaves only Crabrawler. The ace Pokemon immediately charges up its Z-move as an all-out pummeling utterly obliterates Bagon. But this is all according to plan, as now Crabrawler has nothing to hurt Noibat. Thanks to some support from Roost, with one last gust, we finally finished Crabrawler. Hala was defeated, but that took a ridiculous number of attempts. Regardless, our dragons had persisted and managed to conquer their first island of Alola, and surely things would only get easier from here. Spoiler, no. No, they would not. Oh my god, Professor Oak, I'm so glad to see you. Oh, no, trainer. I'm his cousin, Samson. Yeah, whatever, Oak. Tell me, is my dad Lance doing okay? Wait, Lance doesn't have any children? What are you talking about? Whoa, look at the time. I've got to go Mantine surfing. Thanks to those swift maneuvers, we've made it to the second island in Alola, or, as I like to call it, Hell. This place is a nightmare, and we immediately find out why, as we're challenged by Dexio. While his disgusting fairy, Mr. Mime, can be stomped on by our Bagon, this guy then whips out an Espeon. Yeah, the super fast and super powerful fully evolved psychic Pokemon. To the surprise of absolutely no one, our baby dragons are decimated. Wow, I thought that the trainers doing the island challenge were meant to be good. Wait until my father hears about this. Your Espeon is dead meat. Despite the L, we can still progress. However, the losses don't stop there, as next we catch up with Hao in Paniola Town, ready for a classic Western shootout. Gee, I wonder how this will go. We were getting clowned on right now, and things were set to get much, much worse as we met with Gladion. Hey Gladion, did you know that Lance Jr. wants to be a dragon tamer just like Lance? Why would anyone want to be like him? Excuse me? Lance is obviously the worst champion in all of Pokemon, even worse than Geeta. Oh, you are so dead. I'll show you who sucks. Well, we're 0 for 3 on Akala Island right now, literally a 0% win rate. And unlike our last 2 battles, Gladion's the first trainer that we actually have to beat. So, after leveling up our dragons, I returned for a rematch. We can easily bring Gladion down to only his type Null. So, we strategically have our Noibat screech at whatever this thing is before our bat falls. Fortunately, the defense drop means that Bagon could come in, and with just one Brick Break, Type Null is split in 2, giving us some sweet revenge against Gladion. We are so back, baby! Dragons rule! After being slapped around on this island, we were able to crush the Lance Hater, which feels so good. And it's important to relish in this brief moment of joy, because it won't last long. Here's the situation. We only have a baby bat and a big-headed Bagon for the majority of Akala Island, and these 2 are going to need to conquer 3 fully evolved, powerful, and boosted totem Pokemon in 3 painful trials. This is an impossible hurdle to overcome. Why aren't you guys any good yet? Regardless, Lance Jr. had no choice but to press on further into the abyss of pain and struggle. First on our hit list is a Rukwinid, a giant water bug with solid defensive stats, as well as a speed boost at the start of the battle. This already looks bad, but it's made even worse by the fact that this thing knows Aurora Beam, a move which strikes fear into the hearts of dragons everywhere. Our attacks don't do a lot to a Rukwinid, and on top of that, it also calls in other Pokemon as reinforcements. Naturally, all of this bad news leads to a loss. Clearly, our dragons needed a big upgrade if we were going to stand any chance here, and thankfully, we were going to get it, because now armed with 2 new moves, we stepped up to Araquanid for a rematch. This time, with Bagon's Dragon Breath, we hit the small chance to paralyze the totem. On top of that, Noibat now knows Air Cutter, which hits both Pokemon on the field for super effective damage. And with that, we're able to take out Araquanid. Unfortunately, there is still a Masquerain on the field, which, yeah, we lost to. Regardless, I continued trying, and before long, we were on another good attempt where paralysis sticks happen, meaning that Noibat can come in on a weakened Araquanid. Then, on its next turn, we do big damage with an Air Cutter, and Araquanid gets paralyzed. Thank you, Lord Eternatus. With a small window for success, we whoosh on in to get a double kill, giving us the victory against the first of the 3 Akala trials. With 1 pillar down, now we have a brief relaxing window to take in the sights and sunshine of the Alola region. Well, we did, until the Ultra Recon Police came in. I was terrified at the thought of being trapped in Furfrou Hell again, but instead, they've replaced it with Poipole, and this is great for us, as it's something that Noibat can actually beat. So, having evened the score with Dulce, now we can progress through to the Royal Avenue and... Oh god, not how again. Please, I don't want to fight your fairies anymore. Just let me skip the Battle Royale. Well, if it isn't the son of the Flying type master. Oh, Gladion's taking part? Say less. We joined the epic battle royale, but I wasn't really paying attention to the rules. Instead, I just targeted Gladion the whole time, so I'm going to assume that we won. Maybe. But what I am sure about is that the next totem is going to be a real pain. Our team was already struggling with the Araquanid fight, and this time, we have to take on Alolan Marowak, who has a huge defense stat and an equally scary attack stat. But I have a plan for this, and that is... surfing. After sticking some gnarly tricks on the back of a Mantine, we earn enough points to teach our Noibat Water Pulse and our Bagon Rock Tomb, 2 moves which should give us a fighting chance against the Fire-type Totem. And maybe, just maybe, if we enter the battle with a positive, upbeat mental attitude, we can win on the first try. Never mind, that was a terrible idea. I hate everything. This fight is much worse than Araquanid. While Marowak can't hit us with a super effective move, it doesn't even need that, as it calls in a Salazzle immediately, which is a massive problem. Its special attack stat is wild. That, paired with Marowak's doubled speed, equals 1 very bad time. Seriously, this was not fun in the slightest. I knew we had a chance, we just needed a ton of luck, until eventually, we had an attempt that looked promising. Bagon takes big damage on turn 1, but is healed up by sipping on a berry juice. Crucially, a Rock Tomb does big damage, which also lowers Marowak's speed. After Salazzle comes in, Marowak protects itself with Detect, but this is perfect, as we're attacking its ally before falling on the following turn. So, once again, it was all up to our bat. Marowak detects again, as Salazzle shows us a crumb of mercy, using Torment on the following turn, which allows us to bring it into the red with Water Pulse. A Venoshock on the following turn puts Noibat on the brink of death, but another Berry Juice gives us some breathing room. An Air Cutter finally takes out Salazzle, but a Flame Wheel from Marowak hits insanely hard, leaving us on only 2 HP. It's over. The deficit is just too much to overcome, and so we fire off one last hopeless Water Pulse, and we confuse the Marowak. Please, we just need it to hit itself, and... it does! Marowak bonks itself with its own bone, and one more Air Cutter is all we need to... No, please, no! Marowak survives with the tiniest amount of HP, but Marowak is still confused, and so it all comes down to this. We just need Marowak to hit itself in confusion one more time, and... it does! With that insane luck, Marowak finally falls, and we had somehow clutched victory from the jaws of defeat. Our team was battered, bruised, and probably even begging for the sweet release of death. But we couldn't stop now. 2 totems had been toppled, and only 1 more stood between us and the chance to finally get more dragons. But not before we stumble across Colress. Hey, didn't you, commit a bunch of war crimes in Unova? And didn't Lance incinerate a bunch of rocket grunts with his Dragonite? Touché, Colress. Touché. Before we can tackle the 3rd totem, we have to complete a little trial, collecting some ingredients. And this is a really cute, wholesome experience, and... a fairy! What is it with the fairies of Alola? Just leave me alone! At least we can have some delicious stew before the big totem fight. You know what? If Noibat is taken out, I think I'd rather eat that. The intoxicating aroma of the chum summons the totem Lurantis. And guys, we are in trouble. Lurantis' only bad stat is its speed, which gets doubled in the totem trial, meaning we have to face an ultra-powerful, fully evolved totem that absolutely annihilates us. Seriously, we've had the type advantage against all three totems, and they've still been able to cook my team into a fine paste. But this one? This takes the cake. Firstly, Lurantis can call in a Comfy. Already a thorn in my side, but even worse as an ally, as it'll either heal Lurantis, increase its defense with Flower Shield, or set up the sun. This means that Lurantis can hit one-turn Solar Blades that, even though Noibat quad resists, is absolutely shattered by in just 2 turns. Also, Lurantis knows Synthesis, which, in the sun, restores 75% of its HP. Combine that with Floral Healing, and this thing can basically fully heal at any moment. And just for the cherry on top, Lurantis is holding a Power Herb, so it'll always hit a turn 1 Solar Blade without fail. So, the speed boost, combined with the ally Pokemon, combined with the crazy Sun synergy, and what resulted was a fat stack of L's. No joke, I was stuck in the hell of this fight for over an hour, losing again and again. The only notes I made during this fight are as follows. Screw Lurantis. This coward slapped me around 14 times back to back. This is a nightmare. So, how on earth can we slay this monster? Well, it starts with Bagon. If we can hit the chance to paralyze Lurantis on the first turn, that immediately counteracts the speed boost. On top of that, with Bagon in, Lurantis summons Kecleon instead, which is easier to handle for now. We tank a Solar Blade, chew on our Berry Juice, then hit Kecleon hard with a super effective Brick Break. Thanks to the heal, we can get some small chip damage in with a crunch until Bagon meets his demise from another Solar Blade. This, for the third major fight in a row, leaves it all up to Noibat. Fortunately, not only do Air Cutters do big damage to Lurantis, but since Kecleon became a fighting type, it goes down in one shot. Lurantis does heal up on the following turn, and we trade blows before the demonic fairy, Comfy, re-emerges. While we can't withstand much punishment, now Lurantis has the chance to be unable to move, meaning that we can heal ourselves with Roost rather comfortably. And once we have enough health to withstand 2 hits, Air Cutters are able to chip away at both Pokemon. This whole process takes a really long time, but eventually, Air Cutter finishes Comfy, leaving us in a 1v1. And Noibat, having endured everything we've been through, finally sees the light at the end of the tunnel. Determined to not waste the opportunity, we cut away again and again at the Grass Goblin. X-Scissors do big damage, but so do we. And after an almighty struggle, we emerge victorious as one last Air Cutter topples the Tyrant. Our Noibat and Bagon had somehow clutched up, beating 3 bosses in a row, all on their own. All of this punishment has decimated my mental health. Was this worth it? Absolutely not. But it will be if you subscribe to the channel and like the video. Please, we are down so bad right now. We need this. Finally, we can move on, and soon we encounter Lily. Oh, Lance Jr., it's been a while, hasn't it? How were your trials? They were okay. With that awful trio in our rearview mirror, now we have the chance to add 2 new team members, doubling our ranks. Firstly, by returning to Hell on Earth, the lush jungle. By SOS chaining while it's raining, we have a small chance to summon Goomy, the adorable little goofball that'll probably not be that useful since it's so weak, but, you know, strength in numbers. Our second encounter, however, is a lot more promising. By purchasing a jaw fossil from this guy in Coney City, and by heading back to Route 8, we can revive the fossil into a Tyrant. This is probably our best Pokemon yet, with great physical stats, and we're going to be needing that to get off this cursed island, because to escape Akala, first, we have to beat Olivia. It's about time that you had fun with me. Please step on me. We're as beaten down as we are down bad. But now it was time to try and topple Akala's Kahuna. She has 3 powerful Pokemon, including a fully evolved Lycanroc. This is going to be insanely difficult, and it's made even worse by the fact that under my rules, I can only bring an equal number of Pokemon to the battle. So, with Goomy sitting on the sidelines, it was time to earn our freedom from this godforsaken island. Our lead Bagon is holding an Eviolite, so the bug bites from Olivia's Anorith don't do too much, whilst Rock Tombs deal more than half. Now, we just need to land one more, and... yep, of course. Wonderful. Thanks, Bagon. We quickly get the revenge kill on Anorith, and Olivia responds by sending in Lily. You cheater, you're only allowed to take one of the Hoenn fossils. Hacking aside, this Lileep is a problem, and I don't really have a solid answer for it. I tried switching into Noibat, but we get hit with an ancient power, and to make matters worse, Olivia gets the Omni boost. With that, Olivia steps on our hopes as much as I wish she'd step on me. Okay, we did lose, but that was just unlucky, right? I'm confident that our next attempt will be much... Oh, come on! I wish every Lileep a very terrible evening. I tweaked my strategy this time, leading instead with Tyrant. It almost one-shots Anorith before taking a Metal Claw reasonably well, while Olivia does heal, a Bulldoze, and Rock Tomb quickly clean up Anorith. This summons the monstrous Lileep, and I wanted revenge. I switch into Noibat, who laughs in the face of a quad-resisted Giga Drain. Now, I immediately start alternating between Protect and Roost, as this stalls out all 5 ancient powers while keeping Noibat healthy. And now, Lileep's damage is pathetic. Not so good without your magic rocks, are you? Ha, stupid plant. After gradually wearing away at Lileep, we complete our revenge as it eventually goes down. And last is Lycanroc, who we can easily take on at this point. Well, as long as we don't flinch. Seriously, that 30% flinch chance takes our winning hopes from 100 and smashes them down to 0. Olivia the Hoenn hacker somehow stole our victory, and I was furious. Round 4. The start of this fight goes the same, with Anorith and Lileep being easy cash. But the crucial difference is that this time, Lycanroc doesn't flinch hacks us, so Tyrant can safely land a charm, crippling Lycanroc's attack. After our beast of a Tyrant falls, Bagon takes point, firmly planting some brick breaks right into the skull of Lycanroc, finishing that werewolf for good, finally toppling the ace of Akala Island. Diamonds only sparkle after coal is pushed to its absolute limit. Olivia, my team has been pushed to their absolute limit, and now they've just become oil. Just get me off this godforsaken island. Thankfully, our wish is granted, as Lance Jr. is invited to the Ether Paradise. This place is all about Pokemon conservation, but I don't see any dragons here, so as far as I'm concerned, it can go straight into the bin. All of a sudden, we're interrupted by an Ultra Wormhole, and out spills a Nihilego. I've never seen a Pokemon like that. Are we really gonna fight that thing? Absolutely not. I already spent 5 hours getting pummeled. I'm off to the next island, thank you very much. But before we can leave, we hear about a beast called Necrozma, who is apparently all-powerful and mighty. I'm a dragon tamer, baby. I'm sure my powerhouse Pokemon could handle that coward Necrozma with ease. Now we're bound for Ula Ula Island, and I've got a good feeling that nothing horrible is ever going to stand in our way. Oh god, how's challenging us to a battle, isn't he? As expected, he leads with his future fairy, Brion, which proceeds to destroy Bagon, Tyrant, and Noibat in quick succession. However, we've done some real damage by this point, so when Gumi gets to make its debut, it manages to outspeed and take out Hal's menace. We'd done it. We'd beaten Hal. Oh, he has 4 other Pokemon. Oh dear. Thankfully, despite the loss, we can still proceed, and at least it was closer than last time. So, my spirits were high. Our next trial takes us up Mount Hokulani, but before that, we can get our first evolution of the run, as our Bagon transforms into the next logical step of its life cycle, a blimp. But seriously, Shelgon has some good defense that we will definitely need going forward. Before our next trial, Kukui shows us Mount Lanakila, where he has some big plans. It's time to make our own Pokemon League. Why would we do that? We have a perfectly good Johto League already, where my dad is at the top. Cousin, I know the two of you aren't related. Oh boy, look at the time. I best be off. Moving on, our next priority is the first trial of Ula Ula, as we have to take on Totem Togedemaru. And seriously, I am done losing in this challenge. From here on, no expense will be spared, and we will only be making the biggest of big brain plays. So, after a ton of late night surfing, we had accrued enough BP to spend at the Battle Royale Dome, giving us a full set of leftovers. And with this upgrade, I was feeling confident going into the fight. Although, before the battle begins, we have to solve an electric connection puzzle. Now if I were my dad, I'm pretty sure he'd have some other solutions for an electricity puzzle. After calmly solving the puzzle, we summon the totem. With new Pokemon, a new evolution, and a bunch of leftovers, surely our days of holding L's were far behind us. Right? Well, let me just calmly compose myself. This is the worst fight in the entire game. Seriously, I lost again and 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 again. I am in hell. Firstly, for a Pikachu ripoff, Togedemaru has some fairly solid stats, especially its attack and speed. On top of that, its physical defense stat gets doubled, which, considering my best Pokemon are physical attackers, is terrible for us. On the very first turn, it can nearly wipe out our Tyrant with an Iron Head like it's nothing. On top of that, Togedemaru then has a chance to call in Skarmory, who not only has fantastic stats in its own right, but has such an annoying moveset with Tailwind, Torment, and Steel Wing. Add in the fact that Togedemaru's main moves also carry a chance to flinch, and this battle is an absolutely horrendous time. No joke, the amount of luck we need here is insane, and as we continued being steamrolled, I started to believe that this challenge just simply wasn't possible. However, then I remembered that dragons are the coolest Pokemon type, and there was no way that we would roll over against some overweight metallic rat. So it was time to adopt the Sigma grind set. After waking up at 3 AM, we returned to the waves, spinning in the air like nobody's business. This allows our dragons to bulk up with some performance-enhancing vitamins. After loading up our team with protein and iron to max out their attack and defense, we had created some real Sigma grinders. And so, we returned to Togedemaru, ready for a rematch, and we still lost? How? Dragons are the most powerful Pokemon. How can't we even beat this one single stupid fat rat? Despite all our improvements, I continued trying and continued failing. Genuinely, it felt so hopeless. Until turn 1. Togedemaru tries to Spiky Shield instead of attacking, which gives Tyrant a small window to freely Rock Polish. Now we outspeed the Totem, allowing us to land a Charm, massively nerfing its damage output. Although the ally Skarmory does set up a Tailwind, which sadly cancels out our speed boost. I was hoping that Togedemaru would try to shield again, and even though it doesn't, we're still able to hit Skarmory with a Charm too. On the next turn, Togedemaru finally does Spiky Shield, which we take advantage of by charming Skarmory again before it sets up a Stealth Rock. And now that the Tailwind has petered out, we once again outspeed Togedemaru, hitting it with one last charm before Tyrant finally falls. But it did a fantastic job, as now both Pokemon on the field are at -4 attack. Next, we bring in our Goo Ball, whose main job is to be a stalling pest. And this goes perfectly, as our first Dragon Breath manages to paralyze Skarmory. Agent Gumi's next mission is to stall out Togedemaru's Iron Head PP. So, by attacking Skarmory on turns that Togedemaru protects, then protecting on the turns that Togedemaru attacks, not only do we wear down the Winged Titan, but we also recuperate our health thanks to leftovers. This cycle continues until I totally choked and switched into Noibat, who immediately died to a crit. Thanks, Noibat, you were so pivotal in this fight. Next, I send in our dragon tank, Shelgon. And now that the nerfed Togedemaru starts using Zing Zap, we're recovering more health than the damage it can deal. And so, with a deadly onslaught of Brick Breaks, Shelgon cleans up the fight, slaying this absolute monster of a totem fight. We have been pushed to the absolute limit in this challenge, and we still have a long way to go. After punting Togedemaru off the mountain, we venture back down Ula Ula Island, where we're greeted by Guzma, the Team Skull boss. Why even bother with the island challenge? What's the point of it? Honestly, Guzma, after all the pain I've suffered, you make a very compelling argument. Despite the fact I was considering joining Team Skull, Guzma still forces us into a fight. He has two fairly strong bugs, but we're actually able to beat him on our first try, which almost never happens to Lance Jr. And look at Lance Jr. Then, look at our loss count. We have had a terrible time in Ultra Sun so far, but through all the pain, we haven't lost our ability to smile. Ah, isn't he beautiful? And smile we would, because at Blush Mountain, we can find a powerful dragon, one that might finally give us the boost we need to conquer the Alola region. Why does it look like that? Appearances aside, Turtonator is a massive get for the team. Fire Dragon is an awesome type combination, its stats are pretty solid, especially in defense, and it's got some powerful moves in its arsenal. This is the morale boost that our team desperately needed. Whew, that Togedemaru was strong. How did you find it, Lance Jr.? Beat it on my second try. Really? Wow! Yep, didn't even break a sweat. A flying-type trainer beating the electric totem? Doubt it, Lance Jr. What? I'm a Dragon Master, not a filthy flying freak. Oh, really? Because Lance's team has an awful lot of flying types and not many dragons. Shut up, Gladion. I'll make you pay for that, but we'll deal with him later. For now, we have to take on Ula Ula's second totem boss. But this supermarket is scary. Conveyor belts move by themselves, trolleys shake with no one around, but worst of all, the freaks who aren't subscribed to the channel are here. I just hope that they find the strength to click subscribe and save themselves. Besides the heathens, this supermarket is also home to our worst nightmare, Mimikyu, a hair-raising fairy type that also gets an Omni boost. Why do I feel an overwhelming sense of PTSD and an impending doom that we're back in the grind again? Fortunately, despite the attack boost, Tyrant can just tank a play rough, allowing us to hit Mimikyu with Charm before our Dino falls. This clears the way for Turtonator to make its debut. The fire typing makes our turtle neutral to fairies, so we tank a play rough really well before breaking Mimikyu's disguise with Flamethrower. But unfortunately, the ally Bennett curses us, so to cure this, we basically throw Noibat to the sharks in a bloody sacrifice. Next, Shelgon bounces in and chips Mimikyu with a crunch. But once Bennett harshly lowers our defense with Screech, we once again need to make a sacrifice, this time sending Gumi to its grave. What does help is that Bennett is a grade A idiot, cursing us and taking itself out. Good job, Gumi. Well played. Now it's a one-on-one with Mimikyu, and now it was time for Turtonator to shine. Because after boosting our bulk with Iron Defense, our leftovers eventually bring us back to near full HP. From here, we begin firing off flamethrowers, and while this does do decent damage, it also summons an allied Jellicent who is much more threatening with its water pulses. Still, our tanky turtle puts in work, bringing Mimikyu to just a slither of HP before sadly being taken out. Thankfully, from here, Shelgon heroically emerges and quickly finishes the totem Mimikyu, with Jellicent soon following suit. We just beat a totem on the very first try, and it was even a fairy type. Wow, Lance Jr., you look so funny smiling like that. What happened in there? Hope, Acerola, hope happened in there. That win was a huge morale boost for the junior dragon tamer, as it felt like this was finally the turning point of our fortunes. And this good fortune manifested immediately, as now our baby dino can finally evolve into the awesome looking Tyrantrum. Now that's a dragon that you'd expect from a dragon-type master. After storming over to the Ether House, we're forced into a battle, but Tyrantrum absolutely cleans up like I've been waiting for this whole run. Looks like you just got Tyrannosaurus wrecked. Business was booming, and our dragon stonks were set to rise even higher, as soon after, our goofy little Gumi becomes a bigger and goofier snail, Sliggoo. This specially defensive tank is exactly what our team has been lacking. But we're not done yet, because now that we have the Ghost Z Crystal secured, we're clear to enter the Haina Desert. And there are a bunch of Pokemon here, like Krokorok, and Krokorok. Seriously, I ran into like 20 of these guys, but eventually, we can chance upon a Trapinch. It's an adorable little ground type in its current form, but the level cap allows us to immediately evolve it into the ground dragon Vibrava. Oh, what's that? You want another ground dragon? Say no more, fam. Because by SOS chaining in the desert, there's a 10% chance for Vibrava to call in Gabite, the pre-evolution to another champion's ace Pokemon, and while this feels like a small betrayal against Lance, for now, Gabite can stay on the team. It wasn't long ago that we were being pounded by puppies on Melimeli Island with our lone Noibat, or being torn to shreds by an evil hedgehog, but now we've developed a team that any dragon tamer would be proud of. But don't be fooled, there are still a ton of difficult fights ahead of us. We need to bring our A-game in order to stand a chance against the rest of the Alola region. For now, our next stop is the Team Skull HQ in the deprived and dangerous Po Town. Seriously, this area is rough. Graffiti everywhere, houses broken and barely standing, private healthcare? Good God, this place is a nightmare. We charge through the base before eventually confronting the leader of Team Skull, Guzma. Is now the right time to go for a Hyper Beam? No, not yet. Instead, our Vibrava just gets clobbered by a first impression. After sending in Turtonator to get our revenge, we tank a Razor Shell pretty well before setting up 2 Iron defenses. Next, I opt for a new move, Shell Smash. This lowers our defenses, but boosts our attack and speed. This turns us from Dragon Master to Pyromaniac, as flamethrowers absolutely eviscerate Guzma's team, turning his bugs to ash right in front of his very eyes. Not only had we just beaten a major trainer, we crushed him. I guess there's a first time for everything. Next, we head back to the Ether House, where Lily has been kidnapped by Team Skull, and someone is not happy about it. This is all your fault, Lance Jr. You and your stupid dad couldn't protect Lily. Alright, Gladion, this is your last warning. What are you gonna do? Call your dad? The same pathetic pathetic loser who got clapped in the Masters 8 tournament in the very first round? Oh, that's it. It's time now. I can feel it. Vibrava, Hyper Beam! Okay, that was a lot cooler in my head. After he calms down, Gladion, Hao and I put together a rescue mission to save Lily from the Ether Paradise. However, before that, the island kahuna Nanu challenges us to a fight, and this is not going to be easy. He's got 3 dark types that we really don't have an answer for. Regardless, I assembled a team consisting of a T-Rex, a turtle, and whatever Vibrava is meant to be, before stepping up to Nanu. His Sableye always opens with Fake Out, which Tyrantrum eats like it's nothing. We set up a Rock Polish to boost our speed on the following turn, but Shadow Ball does huge damage to our turtle. This was already looking bleak. However, on the next turn, we luckily hit a critical hit Rock Slide, meaning that one more Dragon Claw on the next turn is all we need to draw first blood. Next is Krokorok, who immediately intimidates us, lowering our attack. Now this would be a huge problem, however, we get another critical hit. Arceus is really blessing us. This lets us finish Krokorok, meaning now it's a 3 versus 1. All Nanu has is a pathetic looking cat, so this will be totally free from here. A Brick Break saps a quarter of Persian's health before it fires off a Black Hole Eclipse, wiping us out. Next in is Vibrava, who gets smoked by a Dark Pulse, only able to hit 1 Dragon Breath before falling. All of a sudden, this has turned from a 3v1 into a 1v1. It was all up to our turtle, but a Power Gem deals so much damage, and this is where I threw. I thought that we would outspeed after a Shell Smash, but failed to realize that Persian is literally Sonic. Even after our boost, the cat still outspeeds us, crushing Turtonator and wiping out my entire team. Just when you think we're an unstoppable force, Ultra Sun quickly reminds us that this is not the case. Nanu is no pushover, so I needed to plan and swapped out some of my team members before returning for a rematch. This time, we instead lead with Shelgon, who can cleanly survive 2 hits before taking the Goblin down with a second Dragon Claw, although we're crippled in the process, meaning that Krokorok quickly evens the score, with an Earthquake bringing it back to a 2v2. But now, Tyrantrum is back and it wants revenge. Our Dino clutches up by dodging a Swagger, letting us fire off a huge Brick Break, which nearly takes it down in 1 shot. I know that Nanu is going to heal, so use this opportunity to boost my speed with Rock Polish. I'm still not faster than Persian though, so I need another boost. I have no choice but to go for it, and amazingly, we dodge another Swagger. Another Brick Break puts Krokorok back onto the brink of death once again, but we are finally hit by Swagger this time around. This attempt has been incredible so far, but this is where it starts to feel ominous, as we hit ourselves on the following turn and an Earthquake nearly buries our Dino. However, on the next turn, we snap out of confusion. With that, Tyrantrum crushes the Killer Croc before a boosted Brick Break absolutely cripples Persian. While our heroic Dino finally falls, from here, Sliggoo can safely tank a Dark Pulse like a champ before one last Dragon Breath gives us an insanely tough victory over the 3rd island kahuna. On the horizon, we were set to face off against Alola's big villains, Team Skull and the Ether Foundation. And to help with that, our team was about to get a big upgrade, as Vibrava reaches its final form, Flygon. One of the dragons of all time, and the best ground dragon, at least of the first 3 generations. Soon after, we come across Fabu, who apparently is the last line of defense in the facility. So it was time to unleash the forbidden, sacred, grunt-slaying technique, Hyper Beam! Moving on, and hey, wait a minute, Hal has a Noivern? He's copying me, and it's an illegal level too? Is he secretly also a descendant of Lance? On that mind-boggling revelation, now we have 2 major fights back-to-back against the leading villains of Alola. First is Guzma, who we have beaten in the past, but would this time be any different? No, not really. Turtonator just hard counters his team with its Iron Defense and Shell Smash combo. And in a delicious case of deja vu, we incinerate Guzma's bugs into ashes once again. What's up with you? Why can't I smash you? Damn, I see you're on the same level as Fabu, you freak. Turtonator, burn him. Now it's time to take on the evil Lusamine. Oh wait, the Ultra Police are here. Now it's time to take on the evil Lusamine, and she makes Giovanni look like Jasmine. She freezes Pokemon for fun, and is threatening to destroy the world by opening up wormholes. We can't let that happen, and I know exactly how we're going to handle her. But there's one thing about Lusamine that's far more concerning than her villainousness. She's an idiot. Seriously, she makes some wild decisions, like using Psychic instead of Moonblast, or Fire Punching against Turtonator. She didn't even Ice Punch against Flygon, who can't even drink something with an ice cube in it without fainting. Thanks to this idiocy, we quickly slapped her team until only Beware remained. And after gradually wearing it down, we fire off one last Hyper Beam, just like Lance taught us, crushing Lusamine into dust. After being utterly embarrassed by my dragons, Lusamine flees into the wormhole, with Guzma also running in fear of being terrorized by Turtonator. For now, that leaves us with one goal: to conquer the final island of Alola. Once we arrive at the seaside village, we meet Mina, and I am horrified. This woman scares the life out of me, but that's for later. For now, it was time for our Batwoman, who's been with us since the very beginning, to reach her final form, Noivern. But we weren't done yet, because our Gabite also pack-a-punches into its final, fearful form, Garchomp. And now, our team of almighty dragons was finally starting to form. I can't believe I have to be cradled by Bruno's ace. How embarrassing. Now we were bound for our next quest, to obtain the Sun Flute. And look, these silly Exeggutor here. There's no chance that it's a dragon. Wait, really? Yep, by taking Exeggutor and making it long, we create a grass dragon beast that we can add to the team. Alola sure does have some less than inspired dragons, but there is one Alolan dragon that's got some power behind it, and that's what's next on the agenda. As, after bowling over every team's Skull Grunt, we reach the vast Pony Canyon, and this is the long-awaited showdown of the Dragon Trial, where we would face off against the Totem Komodo. This is a powerful pseudo-legendary that also gets a boost in every single stat. Truly a terrifying Pokemon. But if anyone can tame this dragon, it's Lance Jr. In the Dragon Showdown, we open with Noivern, as a Super Fang instantly brings it to half HP. And since our Noivern is holding a Habanberry, we tank a Dragon Claw really well, and in just 2 turns, a Draco Meteor wipes out the Totem. With a Fiery Flamethrower finishing the ally Scizor, we had just absolutely schooled the penultimate Totem. Nothing could stop us now. Uh-oh. So, Lusamine and Guzma have returned, and they've brought Necrozma with them. After it beats up Solgaleo, they fuse into the Duskmane Necrozma, and then wormholes and Ultra Beasts start coming from everywhere. Oh, but I just want that one. Anyway, we have to fight Necrozma, and while it does manage to take our bat down, Turtonator does what it does best, incinerating the competition into mush. Too easy. I can't believe everyone thinks that Necrozma is difficult. With the light of the Alola region being burnt out, we have to venture into the Ultra Megalopolis to try and fix it. But I mean, come on, we're an all-powerful dragon master now. So, of course, we cleaned it up no problem. Surely there's no way that we will have to... Oh god. I'm in danger again, aren't I? Suddenly, my PTSD from the early game is starting to kick in, because once again, we have found an insurmountable wall. Necrozma reached its ultimate and most powerful form as a dragon, and it wants blood. Seriously, this is one of the most powerful Pokemon in existence, with a double Omni boost in all its stats. It is absurdly powerful, as well as over-leveled, and it proceeds to sweep through my entire team one after another. Guys, I genuinely think this is it. All the losses, all the tribulations, and all the comebacks, that's it. Even with Habanberries, none of our team stands a chance. The run is over. We cannot win. So, jump into this video next for more Pokemon content, and wait. I think there is one single possible solution. First, we head to Po-Town, and hey, there is light here. The Ultra Police lied to me. Blatant plot-related lies aside, our aim here is to take advantage of the rain. By unleashing our Goopy Snail in the rain, we can evolve it into the fully formed Gooball, Goodra, a Pokemon as adorable as it is tanky, with a huge special defense stat. This is it. The run depends on it. Our only shot of beating Ultra Necrozma using nothing but the true power of dragons. And so, with a Habanberry strapped to its chest, Goodra stands in the crosshairs of a super-powered Dragon Pulse, and Goodra holds the line! What a king! This buys us a tiny window to hit Necrozma with Toxic, and now it's a ticking time bomb. By using Protect, as well as switching our team around, eventually, our Goodra stares Necrozma dead in the eyes as it finally succumbs to the poison. Ultra Necrozma was slain, and can we get some likes on the video as a sign of respect to our goopy god, please? Following that tremendous victory, the Paw Patrol are so enamored by us that they offer us a Poipole. And look, Naganadel is an amazing Pokemon, but I'll cut you a deal. I won't take the Ultra Beast Poipole, and you have to click subscribe. Do it, it's only fair. With Necrozma conquered, I'm sure that the rest of this challenge will be a breeze. And hey, I have a demonic fairy for you to fight. A fairy? Before we can embark on our journey to become a Dragon Champion, we have one more totem Pokemon to tackle, and this one is a massive threat. Ribombee is a fast, powerful fairy, and quite frankly, as a Dragon trainer, this thing sickens me. And to make it even more fearsome, just like Necrozma, it also gets a +2 boost in every stat. And so, how could we possibly deal with such an insurmountable beast? That's right, the exact same thing as last time. Turtonator infects Ribombee with a deadly poison, and after a few turns of stalling, we clean up the final totem Pokemon. From struggling endlessly against the early totems to crushing the final two on our very first try, Lance Jr. had truly come a long way. Hey, that's no fair! Toxic is so cheap! You think I care? My dad has 3 illegal dragons. Besides, after how much I have suffered in this damn region, I'll take the wins however I can get them. With the Fairium Z secured, now only 1 Z crystal remains, and to get it, we have to overcome the final kahuna, Hapu. So, you're Lance Jr. I heard you struggled against even the first totem. Don't make me waste my time with a pathetic trainer like you. Oh really? Let's find out who the real pathetic one is. With Hapu quickly buried in the dirt, we had earned the final Z Crystal and truly ascended as a Dragon Master. Through struggle, our power had grown to enormous heights, but it wasn't enough. I needed more power, more dragons to crush the Alolan region that had doubted me. Our first upgrade is Shelgon, who finally finds its wings, evolving into the ferocious Salamence. And by returning to the vast Pony Canyon, we quickly found ourselves a Jangmo-o, whose potential we quickly unlock as it evolves into a rampaging Komo. Now we have an incredibly stacked roster of dragons in our arsenal, and so we have one final goal: to follow in Lance's footsteps and become the ultimate Dragon Champion. With that goal in mind, we headed to Mount Lanakila. We begin the climb, however, then we're stopped by our ultimate rival, Gladion. Your father is a flying-type fraud, and so are you. Loser who wants to be hyperbeamed says what? What? With Gladion dealt with once and for all, we continued traversing the mountain, making sure to stop and spit on Necrozma along the way, before eventually reaching its peak, the Pokémon League. This is the grand finale, consisting of the Elite Four trainers, as well as one of the hardest champions in all of Pokémon. By no means would this be easy, so I prepped my team to the fullest and upgraded our moves. With my 6 strongest dragons assembled, it was finally time. After a journey full of pain and suffering, could Lance Jr. become a champion? Let's find out. First up is Molayne, or as I like to call him, the witness who watched Togedemaru pummel me for hours. Anyway, while his steel soldiers are scary, our Flygon is a fantastic counter. He leads with a menacing set of keys and instantly sets up a Reflect as we begin to boogie with Dragon Dance, raising our attack and speed. Thanks to the Reflect, Earthquake just doesn't get the kill, but I know he's going to heal on the next turn, so it's totally safe to hit another Dragon Dance before finishing Klefki on the following turn. Next is Molayne's Metagross, who also tanks an Earthquake before firing off a painful Meteor Mash. However, unfortunately for Molayne, now his Reflect is gone, and Flygon is ready for blood. With a string of crunches and earthquakes, the rest of Molayne's team is utterly destroyed. That's one down. Next up is Kahili, the Flying-type user, but specializing in Flying types is incredibly cringe. So we unleash Tyrantrum, who teaches Kahili all about the wonders of dragons, as our Dino single-handedly manages to sweep through her entire team. That's 2 Elite Four members dealt with, but the third is much scarier. Acerola has a diverse team of ghost types, which none of my dragons have a type advantage over, so I was concerned, but I believed in our powerhouse Pokemon. Now, her lead Banette isn't too much of a problem, as Salamence can clean it up with a few crunches. What is a problem, however, is the incoming Frostlass, a super fast ice type, which is a nightmare for my team. As proof of this, it immediately outspeeds us, and a single blizzard freezes Salamence in its place. I then go into the gooey tank, Goodra. We're hit by a Confuse Ray, but thankfully break through to land a very crucial Toxic. But Frostlass's blizzards just keep connecting, sending our Goodra to the Shadow Realm. Fortunately, we still have Noivern, and while Acerola heals, Noivern is so fast that it manages to land 2 Dragon Pulses, crushing the icy Ghost. Thankfully, the incoming Delmise is wiped out by 2 Air Slashes, and from here, we trade Pokemon back and forth. However, with one final Rock Slide, Tyrantrum pops Drifblim into the afterlife, giving us our 3rd win. Now, one last Elite Four member remained, and this one's personal. Olivia's Godly Lily and flinching Lycanroc are burnt into my psyche, and I needed revenge. Leading with Tyrantrum, two Rock Slides quickly draw first blood against Olivia's Armaldo. An Earthquake against Probopass just doesn't get the kill, but we clutch up and dodge a Thunder Wave. Smooth moves from Tyrantrum keep our momentum going, as next comes Gigalith, who is an absolute tank. Seriously, Earthquakes don't even do half to this thing. So I switch into Komodo and begin setting up a deadly combo of Iron Defenses and Dragon Dances. This gives us power, speed, and bulk. And this is exactly what we need to not only finish Gigalith, but also destroy both Olivia's Lycanroc and Cradily in just one hit. Revenge never felt so sweet. Also, please consider stepping on me again. With that, we had now conquered the Elite Four, meaning we were the top trainer in all of Alola. Well, except for one. Yep, it's only fitting. Hal has been a constant thorn in our side with his Fairy-type starter. On top of that, he has a diverse and powerful team. But we hadn't come this far just to fall at the final hurdle. So it was time to fight for the crown of champion. Hal leads with a Alolan Raichu, so we opt for Flygon. A Psychic hits us for big damage, but this gives us a small window to set up a Dragon Dance before absolutely wiping Raichu out. Next is Crabominable, a super powerful Ice type that can destroy our team. But Flygon goes huge here as Earthquake gets a critical hit that instantly crushes the Ice-type Crab. Now we were comfortably in a 6v4 lead, but then the Grim Reaper emerges. After tanking an Earthquake, Primarina slaughters Flygon with a Moonblast. I need to get rid of this thing, so I send in Goodra. Hal heals up his Fairy, but our Sludge Waves do big damage. We were just 2 shots away from getting the kill, but then tragedy strikes, as Moonblast not only does a lot of damage, but also gets the special attack drop. This means I can't do enough damage, causing Goodra to fall and bringing it back to an even fight. And this is where I make a critical error. I tried to finish Primarina off with Crunch, but Hal heals again. This is terrible, as now we're in dangerous territory. Regardless, I go for Thunderfang, knowing it's largely in vain, and we get the flinch! Salamence, you are the GOAT! That luck prevents us from getting utterly swept, as now we had finished Hal's deadly ace. Next he sends in Noivern, but after missing its Super Fang, the Imposter Bat falls to a single Dragon Claw. We had all the momentum, and after pivoting to intimidate Hal's Tauros, our own Noivern slaughters the bull with Dragon Pulse. This leaves Hal with only his Flareon, and I know exactly how this battle needs to end. After gradually wearing Flareon down, we had it in perfect range. With one last switch into Noivern, we fire off a huge Hyper Beam in Lance's name, wiping out Hal's final Pokemon and giving us the win. With that, Lance Jr. had beaten Pokémon Ultra Sun using only Dragon types and become a champion just like his dad. Dude, we all know he's not really your dad. Shut up! Quick, Noivern, Hyper Beam! Jump into this video next for more Pokemon content. Like the video for all the suffering I went through in this challenge, and let me know in the comments which dragon is your favorite. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.